My mom looked like a movie star, resplendent in zip-up sweater, turtleneck, and tastefully dangling earrings. She sat patiently as I clipped on the microphone. I was making a video to celebrate her and Dad's 60th wedding anniversary. As I centered her in the viewfinder, I wondered how she always managed to look just right. Her hair, short and chic, her clothes, stylish, but not showy. When I was little and she went to a dance with my dad, she'd sweep down the stairs and I'd feel like a gray mouse cowering at the skirts of Cinderella. She looked perfect. 2 parts Audrey Hepburn, 1 part Lucille Ball, with gowns sleek and sparkly enough to make my Barbies jealous. When I was about 5, I remember twirling around the house in my pink tutu. Dad was at work, my brother didn't bother much with me, but Mom was my constant companion. I had my own word for what she was, a nothing. And that's what I'd say I wanted to be when I grew up. After all, she was always at home, wearing at-home clothes. She had no job title. Since I could think of nothing to call her, I declared that's what she was, and she never corrected me. Over the years, my attitude changed. When I graduated from college, I was off to the big city, Washington, D.C., where I'd won a federal internship. The cute, funny guy I asked out our senior year and dated ever since soon followed, and not long after, we were married. When he got into medical school, I jumped from government to media, climbing the news ladder up from obscure satellite channel to the big leagues at ABC. Along the way, we had our first child, a daughter, and I vowed she'd never aspire to be a nothing. I even bought her clothes in the infant boys department because I'd be darned if she was typecast in girly pink and purple. With memories swirling, I pressed the record button and asked Mom about life before Dad. She looked off a moment, then addressed the camera. I finished high school and was working at the telephone company where my dad was a lineman, but I couldn't stand being an operator. One day, I read about a contest to get into college, so I took that test, and I won a 4-year scholarship. I was the first class to graduate from Dieuville College of Nursing. I thought, I knew she went to college when her family couldn't afford it, but I didn't realize she was a self-made woman. She went on. I met your father when I was a student nurse and he was a student doctor after he noticed me in the cafeteria line. One day, as I was taking care of a little boy, he came up behind me and said, "Do you always give your charges this much attention?" Well, I looked at this forward medical student, then I turned on my heel and left him cribside. When my dad asked around about the pretty brunette, a jealous friend fibbed that Mom was engaged. So he tried to forget about her. But Mom didn't forget him, as she told the camera. I needed a date for the graduation dance. My mother actually found his number, so I called and asked him to go. Had I heard that correctly? My mom asked my father out first, but that's what I did. I thought I was the assertive one. Still expecting to portray her as a homebound product of the 50s, I asked what she did after the children arrived. Well, if you consider your father was in practice 40 years, I worked about half that time, answering phones, taking blood, weighing patients. That's right, I thought. She did work part-time. I didn't much notice because she was always there when I got out of school. Things were sounding uncomfortably familiar. After my second child, I became a freelancer to spend more time at home. Finally, I asked what she thought were the happiest days of their marriage, knowing full well it had to be when they were graced with my brother and me. Our happiest? She asked with a faraway look. Well, I'd have to say it was right after the war when Dad and I were stationed in the Philippines. What? I almost blurted out. Wasn't that before we were born? Here I was, 50 years old, and still thought I was the best thing that ever happened to Mom. Then it hit me. With no book to tell her the color of her parachute, my mom had masterfully blazed her own trail, and I was no more a mold-shattering trendsetter than she was relic of the past. As I switched off the camera, I felt incredibly lucky to have had her as my role model, and I realized my mom was never a nothing. Oh no, she was and still is really something.